Number 10. Charged with possession. When talking about all of Miller's controversies, it's only fair that we start off a little tame. This one could easily go down as a harmless teenage mistake with all things considered. What happened exactly? Well, in June of 2011, Miller was a passenger in a vehicle that got pulled over for a broken brake light in Pittsburgh while shooting Perks of Being a Wallflower. And no, none of their co-stars were with them at the time, not even Emma Watson. Police found 20 grams of a leafy green substance on Miller, and the then 18-year-old was charged with possession. The judge was very lenient, however, and after giving them a lecture about influencing the younger cast members on set, he dropped the case altogether. The actor instead faced 2 citations of disorderly conduct and was ordered to pay $600. But it's clear Miller wasn't sorry, as they then went on to tell New York Magazine, quote, "It's a harmless herbal substance that increases sensory appreciation." Number 9. Kissed a fan. This one is slightly worse, but it's still a bit of a gray area. It was all captured on video in 2017 at a San Diego Comic-Con event when Miller asked fans why their character The Flash would have trouble getting drunk. Someone in the crowd correctly answered that Flash's metabolic rate makes getting tipsy very difficult because it's just so fast. But when another fan jokingly asked Miller to smell their breath just to be sure, Miller responded by kissing the fan on the mouth, planting a big fat kiss on the man's lips without clear consent. The trouble is that Miller seemed pretty wasted in the video, and that's why fans asked if they were drunk in the first place. During the kiss, the crowd cheered and the man was left absolutely stunned as Miller continued to repeatedly kiss his face when asked, quote, "How did it smell?" before walking away. Some people say that the kiss looked consensual based on the fan's non-verbal cues, but he might have just stood still because he was shocked. Number 8. Music theft. 2 musicians have accused Ezra Miller of stealing music they worked on and releasing it without giving them credit. Music producer Oliver Ignatius and rapper Guys Guevara claim the actor stole the music they worked on and posted it to social media without credits. Ignatius met up with Miller in both the Northeast and Hawaii to collaborate on new music, but soon realized that they, quote, "seemed to be on a very dangerous spiral," and said that working with the actor felt like pulling teeth. In fact, Ignatius called their behavior atrocious, belligerent, threatening, and incredibly aggressive, also claiming that Miller threw an aggressive temper tantrum because they didn't agree that violence against women was worth singing about. Talk about red flags. But after Ignatius quit the project, Miller then posted the unfinished music online, including songs that they had not worked on at all. Now, Ignatius plans to file a court order for Miller to take the music down. Number 7. Viral video post. This one is certainly strange. In January this year, Ezra posted a cryptic video to social media in which the actor appears to threaten members of the FKA in North Carolina. In the video, Ezra suggested that if they want to die, they have the means to do it. Otherwise, the actor implied that they would be happy to assist them, saying, quote, "Then, you know, we'll do it for you if that's what you really want. Talk to you soon. Okay, bye." Along with the video, Miller wrote in the caption, quote, "Please disseminate this video to all those whom it may concern. This is not a joke, and even though I do recognize myself to be a clown, please trust me and take this seriously." During the episode, Ezra reportedly transported an unknown supply of firearms and ammunition from Vermont to North Carolina for a potential confrontation with the group. The DC superhero actor then started trending on social media, with a number of viewers taken aback by the message. We are still not sure of the underlying reason behind the message, but it's safe to say that it was extremely odd. Number 6. Choked a woman. This is exactly what it sounds like. In a since deleted tweet, a disturbing video shows Miller choking a woman at a bar in Iceland. The incident took place after Miller was approached by a group of eager young fans who were just excited to have spotted the actor. But the interaction escalated when Miller lost his temper at the young woman shown in the video. In the short clip, they could be heard asking, quote, "Oh, you wanna fight? That's what you want to do?" The woman, who was clearly confused, prepared to fight them in a joking manner, but Miller then attacked the girl by grabbing her by the throat and throwing her to the ground. The whole incident was rather uncomfortable to watch because it's clear that she was only playing around, but Miller was dead serious. The person filming the video could then be heard saying, "Whoa, bro," before the video cuts off abruptly. According to a witness at the bar, Miller was then escorted off the premises by staff.
Carey Mulligan. These two presumably started dating after they acted alongside each other in the movie Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps together. The couple dated for about a year before they called it quits in 2010, and they were head over heels about each other, although they kept it on the down low in interviews with limited PDA while out together. In March of 2010, Shia gushed about his relationship with Mulligan. He said, quote, quote, "I never had anything in my life that was off limits, but with this, just out of respect, I just don't want to mess around." Adding quote, "Neither one of us are fame whores, it works out." The pair broke up that October and he spoke with Details magazine about the split. He said quote, "I still love her. I think she's an awesome person and an incredible actress. We're still pals. I wouldn't take any of it back and I don't think she would either. It just ran its course." In a later interview, he revealed the issue between them two was their varying level of commitment. Mulligan wanted a marriage with kids while Shia did not. Mulligan then went on to marry Marcus Mumford from the band Mumford & Sons.
Number 4. Restraining order. After the incident at the bar, you would think Miller has disturbed the peace enough, but when they returned back to the hostel they were staying at, they decided to threaten the couple who lived there. The Hawaiian residents alleged that Miller returned home with a vengeance, burst into the couple's bedroom and screamed, "I will bury you and your wife." The petition alleges that Miller stole the wife's passport and the husband's wallet, which contains his credit cards, social security card, and driver's license. It's unclear whether the items were ever returned. The couple eventually decided they had had enough of Miller's behavior at the hostel and filed a restraining order against the actor. They asked the court to order Miller not to contact them in any form and stay away from their home and places of work. A judge grants the couple the restraining order the following day. Clearly, they weren't going to put up with Miller's anger issues anymore.
In our third spot is Fredrik Bond. Remember that time that Shia choked his director while he was filming on acid? Yeah, well, Fredrik was the director that he choked. They were working on the 2013 movie Charlie Countryman, and Shia was struggling with his drug addiction during that time. He notoriously took LSD during the filming process, and he blamed the drugs for his attack on the director. Shia tells the story like this, I quote, "He wanted to break for lunch while I was tripping on drugs. I was like, we can't break for lunch, I'm on effing drugs. Right after that acid trip, I was choking Fredrik. My trainer had to pull me off of him." The altercation actually almost led Fredrik to abandon the project early, but he didn't, and he deserves credit. So why did he do the entire movie on drugs? Shia said he felt that he had to do drugs because he personally felt a lack of control without being on the drugs. But clearly, even when he is on drugs, he cannot control himself. This incident should have been a warning to everyone about his violence and anger, and more importantly, his drug addiction.
Number 2. Allegations of Last week, the parents of 18-year-old activist Gibson Ioneyes, formerly known as Dakota, accused Miller of their child. According to the Los Angeles Times, the parents of the 18-year-old Gibson Ioneyes were granted a protective order against the actor, accusing them of physically and emotionally harming the teen and behavior. Parents Chase Ioneyes and Sarah Jumping Eagle had their interim order of protection for their daughter approved by a judge, which says that Miller cannot contact the family or be within 100 yards of the residence. The parents accused the star of psychologically manipulating, physically intimidating, and endangering the safety and welfare of their child. Most troublingly, Miller and Gibson first met when they were 23 and 12 respectively, at the Standing Rock Reservation during the 2016 political action to stop the Dakota pipeline. Creepy would be an understatement. And coming in at number 1, allegations of kidnapping. 18-year-old Gibson, who according to tribal regulations is still under the care of their parents, as they are still considered to be their legal guardians, is believed to be somewhere with Miller at this time, but authorities cannot locate either one of them, and their whereabouts are currently unknown. In an interview with People, Sarah says that she has only spoken with Gibson 3 times since February, and felt that the phone call was being monitored and interrupted by Miller. She said that Gibson sounded robotic over the phone and said, quote, "Our daughter's basically brainwashed." This lines up with the family's previous allegation that Miller has exhibited behavior in a pattern of corrupting a minor and was secretly supplying Gibson with alcohol and other substances. The parents also say that Miller pressured Gibson to drop out of school, and when they flew to Vermont in January to check on them, their child had bruises on their body and was not in possession of their own driver's license, car keys, or bank card. Number 10. Trouble on the set of The Flash. A new report reveals that Ezra had frequent meltdowns on the Flash movie set. Those sources state that they were not violent outbursts. Miller had their debut in the DC Extended Universe with Justice League as Barry Allen, the speedy superhero living in Central City, who was enlisted by Ben Affleck's Batman to join the super team and face off against Steppenwolf. The star continues to be the center of controversy as Ezra reportedly had frequent meltdowns on the set of The Flash. Sources on the set noted that this behavior didn't result in any vocal or violent outbursts from the star, but rather other periods in which Ezra was losing it. An anonymous source close to the star said, quote, Ezra would get a thought in his head and say, I don't know what I'm doing. The report also revealed that Warner Brothers and DC executives recently held an emergency meeting to discuss Ezra's future as the Flash in the DCEU, with one source stating that there was an agreement to pause any future projects involving the version of their superhero. Number 9. Police body cam footage. Hawaii Police Assistant Chief Kenneth Kyosho said that Ezra had been the source of 10 police calls in Hilo since March 7th, with complaints ranging from filming people at a gas station, traffic obstruction, and refusing to leave a restaurant. But police body cam footage has surfaced online, and Ezra can be seen asking for the officers to be careful with their wrists and hands, as they are a musician and wary of potential nerve damage. Later, one of the law enforcement officers is heard calling Miller "sir," to which they responded, quote, I'm sorry, I'm not a sir, I'm transgender non-binary, please don't call me sir. If you fail to do that again, that is an act of intentional bigotry, and started citing US federal law, while asking the police officers to identify themselves and accusing the officer of touching his private parts, saying, quote, I'm transgender, non-binary, and I don't want to be searched by a man. It was a fair request under the circumstances, but accusing the police officers of harassment only served to make Ezra look entitled, because they were the ones doing it to other people. 8. Cult-like behavior. Nothing screams red flags like a wannabe cult leader. In January, Chase Ionise accompanied Ezra Miller and Gibson to Oakland, California, and claimed that the actor had also brought along 2 other young women, one known as Stella Marbles and the other Mia Solange, who would later go on to accuse them of domestic violence and psychological manipulation. But the craziest part is yet to come. While at State Park, Ezra repeatedly told Chase, who is Gibson's father, that they believed themselves to be the second coming of Jesus Christ before pulling out a firearm. This really lines up with all their other cult-like behavior, as Gibson is not the only other young person who seems to be caught in their spell. When talking about their own faith in an interview with ES Magazine in 2018, Ezra said, quote, I'd like to chill with Jesus. He seemed like a queer, radical person of color who was resisting an occupying empire. While those comments sparked a little controversy, they were mostly swept under the rug. But looking back at it, it sounds like Ezra is almost describing himself.
Sliding into number 7 is Mia Goth. It's hard to fully understand the relationship because they've always been on and off for years, but have remained married the entire time, but not actually. The web states they have been married from 2016 to present, but then the Clark County of Nevada tweeted that they have no marriage license for them and claimed that they just had a commitment ceremony performed in Las Vegas. But their relationship ended officially in 2018 after reports say she could not handle his outbursts anymore. One of them went too far back in 2015 when they had an explosive argument in Germany. They were publicly fighting and it was caught on tape. Shia was seen yelling at her, saying he doesn't want to hit her, and they eventually separated and he got into a car of bystanders. Like literally went into a stranger's car. In the car, a video recording showed him saying that if he would have stayed there arguing with her, then he would have killed her. For obvious reasons, this was concerning to viewers, but reports say they might be back together, but now he's with someone else, so I'm very confused. But in March 2020, it looked like they had reconciled things, so I don't know.
Number 6. Concealing a weapon. According to an interview with Gibson Ionise's uncle, Lakota Chief Bear Cross, that was published by Last Real Indians, Ezra Miller concealed that they were brandishing a pistol while visiting Gibson's family. The teenager they've been accused of kidnapping. The chief said, quote, we were posing for a photo, and after we took the photo with my family, we decided to get one with just me and Ezra. Well, Ezra just opened their big old jacket and pulled out the .40 caliber firearm. I asked if that was real, and Ezra said yes. Ezra also said in Vermont, you don't need a permit to conceal. The chief said that it made him feel very unsafe because Ezra pulled it out unnoticed, and he did not know that he had a firearm. He also stressed that he would not have invited the actor into his home if he knew about this because he feared for the safety of his children. Gibson's uncle also said, just from the interactions with Ezra alone, that he felt they were dangerous and violent towards women. Honestly, if that's not a red flag, I don't know what is.
Talia Barnett / FKA Twigs. Talia Barnett, whose stage name is FKA Twigs, began dating LaBeouf after his split from Goth in 2018. They met on the set of Honey Boy, but the pair did not become official until after the movie was finished. The couple was together for less than a year, and the world was shocked when Barnett filed a lawsuit against LaBeouf after their split, citing physical and emotional distress because of his actions. The suit includes many strange and disturbing claims. Barnett has accused LaBeouf of harmful sexual conduct, along with knowingly giving her an STD. Barnett said about the relationship, quote, "What I went through with Shia was the worst thing I've ever been through in my whole life. I don't think people would ever think it would happen to me, but I think that's the thing. It can happen to anybody." LaBeouf commented on the lawsuit, saying, quote, "I'm not in any position to tell anyone how my behavior made them feel. I have no excuses for my alcoholism or aggression, only rationalizations. I've been harmful to myself and everyone around me for years." Adding, quote, "I have a history of hurting the people closest to me. I'm ashamed of that history and I'm sorry to those I hurt. There's nothing else I can really say." In February of 2021, FKA Twigs told Elle that it's, quote, "a miracle that I came out alive." She then spoke of some more incidents with LaBeouf. Once the pair were driving together and he started speeding and driving erratically. At the time, Barnett was preparing for a fatal crash, but thankfully that did not happen. She said that luck was the reason she survived their relationship. As of now, the pair are trying to work out their legal matter out of court, but she's preparing to take him to court if their mediations aren't successful.
Number 4. Accusations of domestic violence. Ezra Miller has been accused of inflicting various abuses, ranging from physical violence to emotional manipulation upon a former intimate partner. This claim against Miller came to light on April 1st, when a Twitter account dedicated to Ezra Miller's receipts made a number of messages public exchanged between themselves and the accuser, a young TikToker by the name of Mia Solange, where she declared that Ezra flew her from Hawaii to Oklahoma to work on a movie, and she was 19 at the time. She also sent a photo of bruises on her leg supposedly sustained from Ezra, claiming that they would aggressively bite her. Solange's claims against Miller would garner more widespread attention on April 23rd, after they shared a now deleted video montage to TikTok featuring photos of the two, most of which were previously seen in the screenshot of their camera roll, and declared, quote, "Ezra Miller's not a good human, and I can finally say so without being terrified."
At number 3, Elastic Heart. In 2015, Shia LaBeouf came under fire for starring in the music video for Sia's song Elastic Heart. Fans thought that Shia's presence in the video was creepy and inappropriate, being that he was in the video alongside a then 12-year-old Maddie Ziegler. There were a handful of people who said that the video had undertones that suggested an inappropriate relationship between the two stars, and it made people feel very uncomfortable watching the music video. With this backlash and negative press regarding the video's undertones, this made people see Shia very differently, and it may have affected his place in Hollywood as well, because once you hear people's perspective of his place in this video, it's kind of hard to unsee, and we know by now that Hollywood does not forget these kinds of things.
Number 2. Second protection order filed. Just when you thought things couldn't get any worse, there has officially been another allegation against Ezra Miller for the group and harassment of a minor. Last week, a mother and her 12-year-old child were granted a temporary harassment protection order against Ezra in Massachusetts after alleging the actor behaved inappropriately towards the child and also brandished a weapon in a threatening manner. The Daily Beast's investigation reported that the family was at a downstairs neighbor's house in Greenfield, Massachusetts on February the 2nd, when Ezra, who was supposedly a friend of their neighbor, showed up. They were reportedly wearing a bulletproof vest and began acting erratically and opened their jacket to reveal a gun, saying, quote, "Talking like that could get you into a really serious situation," and then telling the child, quote, "You would be lucky to have a friend like me." The visiting neighbor told the outlet that Miller was especially focused on the child, allegedly pestering them with compliments, uncomfortably hugging them, and even touching their hips. The child and their mother said that Miller's strange behavior and dilated pupils made them think the actor was under the influence. And coming in at number 1, haunting the police about kidnapping. This one's about as evil as it gets. Ezra Miller taunted police on Instagram before deleting their account, as a court remains unable to locate the actor accused of being a teenage fan. The Justice League and Fantastic Beasts star posted a number of images to their Instagram stories which looked like it was meant to mock the authorities. Quote, "You cannot touch me, I am in another universe," and quote, "a message from another dimension." Although Miller's Instagram account has been deleted, screenshots of these stories have been circulating on Twitter, and it's easy to see why this is aggravating people. Miller has just about an 18-year-old Indigenous Gibson, Iron Eyes, and has been creeping on them since they were 12 years old. The Standing Rock Sioux Tribal Court has issued a protective order against them, whom they accuse of using violence to hold sway over their child. In response to the police search, Miller posted, quote, "I am shielded from negative people and their ill intent. I am protected from all negative energy people attempt to throw at me. I think the only negative energy here is Ezra kidnapping and a literal teenager.
At number 10, FKA Twigs. Back in late 2020, Shia LaBeouf came under fire after his ex-girlfriend FKA Twigs issued a lawsuit over their alleged volatile relationship. The singer cited a number of allegations against her former partner, including him being physically violent towards her on many occasions, as well as infliction of emotional distress, as just some of the things that she endured while in her relationship with the actor. One of the incidents talked about in the lawsuits details a time where Shia was driving recklessly and threatened to crash if she didn't tell him she loved him. She also alleged that he knowingly gave her an STD and would sometimes grab her so hard that she would bruise. She opened up about her relationship with Shia, saying that it was one of the worst experiences of her life. To make matters worse for Shia in the public eye, singer Sia also came to Twigs' side to support her in her claims, saying that she too had been, quote, emotionally damaged by Shia on a few occasions, calling him a pathological liar and saying that he tricked her into having an adulterous relationship. Having these kinds of allegations against you is certainly not good for your career, especially as a public figure. At number 9, Karen Energy. Shia LaBeouf is sort of known around Hollywood for his attitude, but not in a good way. He's had quite a few outbursts in his day, and I'm going to tell you guys about one restaurant freakout that he had back in 2017. Shia had a bit of a meltdown at a bowling alley restaurant, and Shia flipped out at the staff members over an order of french fries. While at the restaurant in the bowling alley, he went up to order some french fries, and when he was refused because he was already drunk and belligerent, things got out of hand pretty quickly. In a video captured of the incident, you can see Shia behind the bar yelling at one of the staff members about his french fries. The bartender was feeling so threatened by Shia's behavior that he was holding a large bottle of Grey Goose vodka sort of as a defensive tactic. This made Shia even angrier and even took him to the point of angrily yelling at the bartender that he was, quote, an effing racist. After being escorted from the premises, Shia kept saying that they effed up and demanded that someone call the police, even though it was so unnecessary. He was very aggressive and rude towards the people in the establishment, and it probably left people with a very different view of the actor. Once again, this behavior is not good for his image in Hollywood, which could be another reason why Hollywood is so done with his BS. Now, before I carry on with this list, I would first like to take a moment to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and also maybe consider subscribing to the channel as well to join the family in our little corner of the internet. At number 8, offensive. While at the Oscars ceremony in 2020, Shia LaBeouf came under fire after he was accused of being impatient with his co-star Zach Gottskin. Zach became the first person with Down syndrome to present at the Academy Awards, and while on stage with Shia, the actor was seen getting tense and rushing Zach along with his presentation, which was seen as offensive and ableist by many. Shia insisted that there was no ill will towards his Peanut Butter Falcon co-star, but even if that was true, it still doesn't take away from what this all looked like on stage. Being seen as discriminatory towards anyone is guaranteed to cause trouble for a celebrity, and having that kind of negative label isn't good for one's career, especially in Hollywood, where you have to be prepared and open-minded towards working with all kinds of people from all walks of life.
Number 7. Idealizes violence. In 2011, the star took the role of a teenage school and We Need to Talk About Kevin. Dubbed as one of the most controversial movies ever made, Miller went very deep into the role of a sociopath, and the ultimate result was a portrayal so unsettling that they even said it bothered some of their friends. Quote, I do get a certain kind of validation and gratification from the way people will sort of approach me tentatively, with a little bit of fear after they see the film. This admission by itself is not that strange, but it really becomes a red flag when we look at Miller's interview with Vogue several years later, where they asked the writer if she would like to see the crossbow that their character used to attack several classmates in the same film. They apparently keep the crossbow in their house. It's worth noting that the actor is also a huge supporter of the right to bear arms and has said that they don't have a problem with people owning semi-automatic weapons. Quote, people need to protect themselves.
At number 6, plagiarism. In 2013, Shia LaBeouf was caught in a bit of a scandal after he plagiarized a graphic novel by Daniel Clowes in his short film HowardCantor.com. His short film debuted at the Cannes Film Festival in 2012, but after it was posted online in 2013, fans began to realize that the plot was almost entirely taken from the graphic novel Justin M. Damiano. After being caught, the actor apologized, but it clearly wasn't a sincere apology to his fans, because instead of speaking from the heart and being genuine about his actions, he was caught plagiarizing again in his own apology. Shia's apology said, quote, merely copying isn't particularly creative work, though though it's useful as training and practice. Being inspired by someone else's idea to produce something new and different is creative work, and it may even revolutionize the stolen concept." End quote. Someone noticed that these words seemed a little familiar, and so after some digging, it was discovered that this apology was essentially copied and pasted from a Yahoo Answers reply to the question, "Why did Picasso say good artists copy but great artists steal?" Plagiarism is a big problem, and in Hollywood that kind of thing is very serious, so the fact that he didn't take his plagiarism seriously may have shown Hollywood just how untrustworthy Shia is. At number 5, Too Far. Shia LaBeouf is no stranger to method acting. When he's cast for something, he gives his whole self, body, and soul to the role. In the past, he's done illegal substances and put himself into dangerous situations to prepare for roles, but what he did to prepare for his role in the film Fury definitely takes the cake. Shia spoke out about what he did to get in character for the film, and he said, quote, "The day after I got the job, I joined the US National Guard. I was baptized, accepted Christ in my heart, tattooed my surrender, and became a chaplain's assistant to Captain Yates for the 41st Infantry. I spent a month living on a forward operating base. I linked up with my cast and went to Fort Irwin. I pulled my tooth out, knifed my face up, and spent days watching horses die. I didn't bathe for 4 months." End quote. Cast members told sources that Shia kept opening his wounds so that they always looked authentic, and that very little makeup was used to create his wounds. Though method acting is a very impressive way of performing, Shia seems to take things a little too far in some cases, and some Hollywood executives might not want to take a chance on the actor because of this, since he could get seriously hurt and become a liability to them. At number 4, Walgreens Arrest. For a celebrity, getting arrested always draws negative attention, and that can be pretty damaging to one's career. Back in 2007, Shia's public image took a hit after he was arrested at 2:30 a.m. at a Walgreens in Chicago after a security guard tried to get the highly intoxicated actor off the property. When he refused to leave, that's when officers were called and arrested Shia for criminal trespassing. Apparently, this was part of Shia's crazy 21st birthday evening, where he was trying to buy cigarettes but was too drunk to function. This irresponsibility combined with the arrest made for some pretty negative headlines, and as I said previously, it's not always good for someone's career.
Number 5. Evidence of brainwashing. On the 6th of June, an unverified Instagram account reportedly belonging to Gibson Ionize posted, quote, "I'd like to make a statement to acknowledge the tragedy that is the narrative of the general public and the assumptions made on my behalf by my family and friends regarding my stability and otherwise. I dropped out of BARD 5 months ago," also adding, quote, "My comrade Ezra Miller for the entirety of the aforementioned era has only provided loving support and invaluable protection throughout this period of loss." Gibson went on to say that their father and his allegations hold no weight and are frankly transphobic. But this is the most chilling part. At the end of the message, the teenager appeared to be so brainwashed by Ezra that they now believe it's their parents who are at fault. Quote, "I am now aware of the severity of emotional and psychological manipulation I was made to endure while in my parents' home." Everything adds up when you look at the fact that the actor had been supplying Gibson with alcohol and other illicit substances since they were 14, and even paid for their private school education to give their family the feeling of being indebted to them.
At number 2, Trash Talk. Shia is a pretty outspoken person. He's gotten himself in trouble on many occasions for saying things that are seen as offensive or mean, but what really did him in at one point was an interview he did back in 2008 when he blasted Steven Spielberg after working on Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. The movie itself got mixed reviews at the time of its release, but when Shia criticized the film's director, that's when the hate began for the actor. He told the Los Angeles Times, quote, "I think the audience is pretty intelligent. I think they know when you've made crap. I think if you don't acknowledge it, then why do they trust you the next time you're promoting a movie?" End quote. He also went on to say, quote, "I'll probably get a call, but Spielberg needs to hear this. I love him. I love Steven. I have a relationship with Steven that supersedes our business work, and believe me, I talk to him often enough to know that I'm not out of line. I would never disrespect the man. I think he's a genius, and he's given me my whole life. He's done so much great work that there's no need for him to feel vulnerable about one film. But when you drop the ball, you drop the ball." End quote. Bad-mouthing one of the most famous directors in Hollywood is bound to affect your career in one way or another, and this could be one of the reasons why Hollywood won't want to work with the actor. And finally, at number 1, fired. On top of everything else that Shia has gone through, we also know that the actor has been losing work because of his bad attitude after allegedly being fired by Olivia Wilde from the upcoming film Don't Worry Darling. It was announced in late fall last year that Harry Styles would be replacing Shia in the film, and now we know that it was due to Shia's alleged bad behavior, as people cited that Shia is, quote, "not an easy guy to work with." It was alleged that there was some kind of conflict between him and Olivia Wilde as well, and so because of that and the fact that other cast and crew members didn't like working with him, Shia was let go. Getting fired is always a negative, but in Hollywood, when a lot of your work involves relationships with others and having connections, having a bad experience that was enough for you to get fired can ultimately burn that bridge and can result in you having less and less connections in the industry and therefore have less and less opportunities to find work. This could explain why Shia has hit a dry spell in Hollywood.
Starting us off at number 10 is Sia. The two of them have always had a positive relationship from what we've seen in the media. They have been friends for a while, and Shia has even been in some of her music videos. But recently, some truth has come to surface which paints the relationship in a very different light. Sia recently revealed that she replaced Shia in her upcoming movie and called him a pathological liar. Turns out she originally cast him for the role, but then replaced him with Kate Hudson. So, what happened between them that made her decide to do this? Sia tweeted an explanation and said, "I've been hurt emotionally by Shia, a pathological liar who conned me into an adulterous relationship claiming to be single." This was very shocking information because many fans didn't even know that there was something more than friendship between them. No further details were given out, and he is yet to comment on these claims, but she is revealing some pretty serious stuff about his character. Up next, number 9 is Tom Hardy. In 2012, reports were taken over the internet between the tension between cast members Tom Hardy and Shia LaBeouf. Tension would be an understatement though. A full-out brawl would be a better word to describe what happened. The two of them got into a physical altercation to a point where they both had to be restrained. When the news first broke, Hardy spoke about it during interviews and said that Shia attacked him and claimed that he was drinking moonshine at the time. He even said that Shia was a very scary dude, which means a lot coming from Bane. But Shia talked about it this year and told his side of the story, saying that it was not true at all. He claims they used to wrestle each other all the time, like for fun, and said that one time he barged into his room after a gym session and picked him up and then just started wrestling. Shia claimed that he was naked in his room with his girlfriend at the time and said that they wrestled naked and that's so weird. And Hardy accidentally flew down a flight of stairs once their play fight went into the hallway. I don't know about you, but I don't know whose side of the story sounds more realistic, in all honesty. I'm just very confused. In spot number 8 is Harrison Ford. Back in 2011, Shia decided to slam one of the biggest movie directors in Hollywood and probably didn't expect Harrison to give him some heat for it. After working with Steven Spielberg on multiple movies, Shia decided to publicly criticize him and said he dropped the ball. He filmed Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and was not happy with how the movie turned out. He spoke about it and said, I quote, "I would never disrespect the man, but when you drop the ball, you drop the ball." But Ford was also involved in the movie, and even if he didn't think it lived up to its legacy, he still said he will always stand by his films. After Shia made his comments, Ford voiced his piece and said, "I think he was an effing idiot. As an actor, I think it's my obligation to support the film without making a complete ass of myself." The idiot being Shia. This should have been some kind of warning because Shia slammed Steven again in 2016, saying he doesn't like the movies he filmed with him and said he is more of a company than a director. How do you possibly slam Steven Spielberg? Mind boggled.
Next up, Amber Tamblyn. Amber Tamblyn and Shia LaBeouf first got together back in 2005 and made their red carpet appearance at the movie premiere for Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants together. The pair never actually confirmed their relationships, but they were photographed getting cozy a number of times, so it was clear they were dating in some capacity. We're not sure when things ended, but a few months after they were spotted together, the pair were no longer seen out anymore, so it was clear the short relationship ended.
Making his way into number 6 is Alec Baldwin. He was just another person on Shia's feud list. The two of them had it out with each other back in 2014 when working together on the Broadway show Orphans. The feud ended with Shia dropping out of the show over what he called creative differences after Alec went to production and said he would leave if Shia didn't. Alec spoke about their experience and said Shia would show up scattered every day and attacked him in front of the company one day. He said that Shia came off with a sense of entitlement and they had tension from the start. Shia told his side of the story and admitted to putting his hand through a door at rehearsals, but apologized afterwards. He even tweeted out emails between him, the director, and Alec. They ended up both apologizing to each other, but Alec said that a lot of young actors like Shia have this sense of entitlement, and it seems like he was just trying to warn us about this.
Number 5. First arrest in Hawaii. Ezra Miller's presence is becoming more of an imminent threat to the people of Hawaii than active volcanoes. Their first offense on the island came last month when they were arrested for disorderly conduct and harassment after an alleged incident at a popular Hawaiian night spot. They were arrested after South Hilo officers responded to reports of a disorderly bar patron. Police alleged that Miller had become agitated while other patrons were singing a karaoke rendition of Shallow from A Star Is Born and began yelling obscenities. Miller then grabbed the microphone from 23-year-old woman singing karaoke and later lunged at a 32-year-old man playing darts. The bar owner allegedly asked Miller to calm down several times to no avail. After being arrested and charged on offenses of disorderly conduct and harassment, Miller paid the meager $500 bond and was released from custody.
Here now, number 4, we have Carolyn Foe. She dated Shia for 2 years before he ended things with her for his nymphomaniac co-star Mia Goth, who I mentioned earlier. This would be a tough breakup for anyone, and paparazzi photos showed how difficult it was for Carolyn. They were having issues in the relationship, and fans knew about it because photos showed them having a very heated exchange, and Carolyn was in tears. Turns out their argument was about his new film at the time, Nymphomaniac, where the actors were going to engage in real sex scenes. A source had told the media, I quote, "Carolyn gets that Shia likes to go method and appreciates his artistic integrity. However, she thinks performing a real sex scene in a movie is going too far." Apparently, Shia knew what the director wanted and agreed to the film, knowing that he had to do these real sex scenes. Since their breakup, stories about his rage have come to surface about what went wrong in their relationship, similar to some of his other exes. Shia even joked that he sent out their sex tapes to casting, and that's how he got the movie in the first place. True or not, I can't confirm, but that is still pretty messed up. Like, that is not a funny joke by any means.
Number 3. Fired from The Flash. Ezra Miller's lengthy list of recent controversies has finally landed them in hot water. Now, there are going to be some real consequences for their horrible behavior. Ezra is going to be entering a really challenging phase of their career because Warner Bros. And DC have decided to drop the actor from The Flash. The 29-year-old actor who helmed the character of Barry Allen in the series since 2016 appeared as a superhero in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. However, due to the actor's legal woes, the filmmakers have decided to drop them in a spin-off film. A source told Deadline, quote, "The hope is that the scandal will remain at a low level before the movie is released, and hope for the best to turn out." And in terms of Ezra's future with the studio, the insider added that there is no winning in this for Warner Brothers, and called it an inherited problem for the CEO, David Vaslav. They went on to say that the studio won't likely keep Ezra in the Flash role in future DC films, but there is still a $200 million investment on the line with the first film, and that Warner Brothers executives have to be cringing at each new press report.
Taking over our number 2 spot is Jim Carrey. I don't think anyone would expect these two to get into a celebrity feud. It just seems very random to me. It happened back in 2014 when Jim was presenting the award for Best Motion Picture at the Golden Globes. While he was presenting it, he decided to have a little bit of fun with the Transformer actor. He said a quote which came from actor Edmund Gwen and said, "Dying is easy, comedy is hard." I believe it was Shia LaBeouf who said that. So young, so wise. He made the joke in reference to Shia being in trouble at that time for a copyright law. Bloggers had realized the short film had copyright in it, so Jim was making a joke about that situation. But Shia did not like this joke, and he actually began a series of angry tweets towards Jim. In response to an E! Article about Jim Carrey's jab, Shia tweeted, "At least I don't get arrested for indecency on major LA highways," or "abandoned love childs." He was referring to Jim's daughter Jane, but the two of them actually have a very close relationship. Shia later apologized for the jabs he took at Jim and also for not crediting the right people for his short film. Earning our number 1 place is FKA Twigs. The world was left in shock recently after Shia's ex-girlfriend came forward with serious allegations against the actor. He is currently being sued by Twigs for sexual battery. In her lawsuit, she revealed a bunch of disturbing stories and allegations about the actor about different stories of abuse. She said she has been haunted by the memories of their time together, claiming that he had a gun by the side of their bed and she feared even going to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Multiple disturbing claims have come out, some too disturbing to actually say here on YouTube for the sake of our channel. Shia has responded to this lawsuit and admitted he has hurt people in the past due to his drug addiction and said that there is no excuse for his behavior. However, with that, he did also deny some of the allegations, like the one where Twigs said that he had killed stray dogs as a part of method acting, like preparing for his next movie. The latest update at the time of this recording was that he is actively seeking a long-term inpatient treatment and that he admits he needs help.
First up, Rihanna. If you can believe it, Rihanna and Shia went on a date back in the early 2000s. Apparently, Rihanna was the one that contacted him and asked for the date. When Shia saw it, he said, quote, "I was filming a sword fight when I got the message. I said, can this be my life?" But their relationship did not turn into anything serious and it fizzled out after the first date. He added, quote, "It never got beyond one date. The spark wasn't there. We weren't passionate about each other in that way, so we remain friends."
At number 7, racism. On top of everything that people have against the actor, Shia has also been accused of being racist. After footage surfaced of the actor going on a racist rant towards a black police officer when he was arrested in 2017, people were not quick to forget what Shia did and said in that video. The video in question captured the actor becoming enraged when a police officer denied him a cigarette. The officer instructed Shia to calm down, but he simply ignored that and continued being aggressive towards the officer. In the footage, Shia could be heard in the backseat of the officer's car bragging about his quote millionaire lawyers, being racist towards a black police officer and calling them names as well. Shia chalked all of his behavior that night up to his white privilege, but it still made him look really bad and added to his bad reputation in the public eye.
Megan Fox. These two started dating after they starred alongside each other in the Transformers franchise, so we can assume they started dating sometime in 2007, which is about when the first movie was released. Although the pair were very tight-lipped in the relationship back when it was happening, they spoke about it years later. Megan Fox officially confirmed the relationship during an appearance on Watch What Happens Live back in 2018, saying, quote, "I mean, I would confirm that it was romantic. I love him. I've never really been quiet about that. I love him." LaBeouf also commented on their fling in 2011, saying, quote, "Look, you're on the set for 6 months with someone who's rooting to be attracted to you and you're rooting to be attracted to them. I never understood the separation of work and life in that situation, but the time I spent with Megan was our own thing." We aren't sure why they broke up, but it was rumored that Shia had a fling with another one of his Transformers co-stars, so clearly the relationship he had with Megan was not serious.
Halfway through our list, number 5 is Kanye West. A lot of celebrities have been in the center of Kanye's Twitter rants, and Shia was one of them. In July 2020, he went off on Twitter and claimed Shia was supposed to do the first Yeezy Gap shoot and that he never showed up. He also tweeted, "Shia is cap," which I don't fully understand the meaning of, but I know that it's meant to be an insult in some type of way. The two of them were actually friends for a while, and Kanye even saw Shia as a fashion icon. During an interview in 2008, he said he wished he dressed as fresh as him. Shia actually claims that Kanye took his clothes and that his clothing design comes from him. In 2018, he said, "He asked if he could have some of my clothes for a pop-up shop. He took all my effing clothes." It is still unclear where their friendship went wrong and what the reason was for their falling out, but Kanye has tried to warn us a few times about celebrities, and this time Shia was one of them.
Carolyn Faux. Shia started dating Los Angeles-based stylist Carolyn Faux in 2010. The couple was pretty serious, and they dated for 2 years before splitting. They broke up after LaBeouf filmed the movie Nymphomaniac with co-star Mia Goth. This could mean there was some infidelity here, as Shia and Goth got together shortly after that. Faux later revealed her tumultuous relationship with LaBeouf, adding that it got violent at some points. She told the New York Times that one time, quote, he drunkenly pinned her to a bed and headbutted her, enough that she bled. With the recent allegations against him, it shows that clearly these actions are a pattern of behavior. Mia Goth. Following his split with Faux, LaBeouf dated Nymphomaniac co-star Mia Goth, on and off for a few years. The pair actually got married in 2016 in Vegas, but later his team confirmed that it was not a real relationship, rather a commitment ceremony. However, that was clearly not true, because they filed for divorce in September September of 2018. After their split, a source close to Goth revealed, quote, "It was a very crazy relationship and he is very fiery. She's told her friends that she can't take it anymore. When he was preparing for a part, Mia would keep away from him and move out because his rehearsals were so intense." But the story with these two is not over, and it was rumored that they were back together in 2020 as they were seen out together on a number of occasions. But they were off once again in 2020 when LaBeouf started dating actress Margaret Qualley. However, that relationship was short-lived, and after another one of LaBeouf's ex-girlfriends, FKA Twigs, accused him of harmful conduct. I will get into both of these ladies in a moment, but rumors are swirling that Mia Goth and Shia might now be engaged, now that Goth is expecting a child. We assume that child is Shia's, as they have been spotted out together while she's been pregnant, although neither party has confirmed if they are officially back together.
Number 3. Second arrest in Hawaii. Just 1 month after their arrest for disorderly conduct and harassment, the Flash star found themselves in trouble with the law on the island again this week. This time, their arrest came for second-degree assault after an incident at a residence. Officials say Miller became irate after being asked to leave a gathering and threw a chair, which struck a 26-year-old woman on the head, leaving a half-inch cut. Miller was arrested at 1:30 a.m. during a traffic stop and was released from custody at around 4:05 a.m. An investigation into the incident is currently ongoing. The chair incident was more than a red flag, it actually marks a disturbing pattern we're starting to see here when it comes to Miller and violence against women, and it only gets worse from here.
Margaret Qualley. In September of 2021, Margaret Qualley and LaBeouf's brief relationship ended after the allegations from FKA Twigs came out. The pair were first linked after they filmed Love Me Like You Hate Me together in the early fall. A source said at the time, quote, "They are not dating, but have fun together. Margaret is a social butterfly and has a big group of friends. She doesn't really bring Shia around this group though. She's not interested in having a boyfriend." They were spotted out holding hands on many occasions, but the relationship quickly ended after news broke of the lawsuit. One source told People that Qualley was aware of the backlash she received for seeing LaBeouf amid the lawsuit, and she didn't want to deal with it anymore. The source added that Margaret is now focusing on her work. Sia revealed her hookup with Shia LaBeouf after FKA Twigs filed her lawsuit against him. In the midst of the drama, Sia went to share with the public her negative experiences with the actor. Sia revealed that her and LaBeouf actually dated the same time he dated FKA Twigs, and he encouraged the adultery. LaBeouf and Sia first met when he appeared in the 2015 music video for Sia's track Elastic Heart alongside dancer Maddie Ziegler. Following the lawsuit, Sia tweeted, quote, "I too have been hurt emotionally by Shia, a pathological liar, who conned me into an adulterous relationship claiming to be single. I believe he's very sick and have compassion for him and his victims. Just know if you love yourself, stay safe, stay away." In a second tweet, Sia added, quote, "Also, I love you FKA Twigs. This is very courageous and I'm very proud of you." Sia later told the Sunday Times, quote, "It turns out he was using the same lines on me and Twigsy, and eventually we found out because we ended up talking to one another. Both of us thought we were singly dating him, but that wasn't the case and he was still married."